Because this is more of an observation
Yes.
of people's social media profiles and what they post. And just, we want to bring awareness to this. You can do whatever you want,
yeah.
but just understand that social media is a great tool to grow your business. But once you go down a certain path, you can't get that back.
Welcome to the LO Code Podcast, where we talk about everything from marketing to just general loan bullshit.
Today's episode of the LO Code Podcast, we're going to be talking about, is your social media a dumpster fire and killing your business? And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm so more loan officers see this and we can help them out. So Jessica, you came up with this dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire. So, I have been watching a few loan officers seemingly spiral on social media. And you always have to wonder if it's going to affect their business.
Right.
And then some of them are no longer in the business right now. And so I have to think
that it has. And you've looked up some of the numbers and definitely not as great. So I kind of just wanted to go over things that we've seen because I don't think people are always aware of how they're coming off on social media. And, it's supposed to be freedom of speech and we're supposed to be, putting our authentic selves out there. But I see a lot of people that are just destroying their businesses. Right. There's a difference between being authentic and being open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And being a dumpster fire.
Yeah. And I guess first I want to preface it by saying that, if you're struggling and you're reaching out on social media because you need support and you need help, who cares if it is going to lose you any business?
Right.
Like
if it's a mental health thing and you truly need help.
If you truly need help or even just the support, like at that point, it doesn't matter. So don't let that deter you. But I'm talking more about first, biggest example, politics. Politics, like there's one thing if you want to openly support who you want to support, but there are people that are on there every day trying to start wars with internet people,
right?
Because they're trying, change people's minds on who to follow, I don't care who you're supporting, either side of a political party. But if it keeps coming up and it's such a negative vibe all the time, it's a combative vibe, I unfollow those people. And that means that I'm never going to see their content. That is not political.
Now, let's preface this with, if you're doing this by design to be polarizing and this is a plan, then that's one thing.
But just think you are losing 50%. 50%
are.
of people are going to be for one party or the other, just like COVID.
Right.
So there was some people that were doubling down on their COVID beliefs. And it was multiple posts a day, every day. They're no longer in the business. And I have to kind of think that
they alienated
because people are going to unfollow you. They don't want to see stuff like that. It's just being shoved down your throat all the time.
Because this is more of an observation of people's social media profiles and what they post. And just, we want to bring awareness to this. You can do whatever you want, but just understand that social media is a great tool to grow your business. But once you go down a certain path, you can't get that back.
No.
If you put yourself out there in a certain way, you're going to potentially lose all the people that were following you and trusting you. And we're not telling you to be fake.
No.
But just think of any business practice. You want to put out there what is on brand, right? And hopefully that aligns with who you are as a person. And if you're okay with putting out very controversial topics and alienating potentially a lot of people, that's fine. If that's just who you are.
And that's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do.
This is more for the people that are just unaware.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so just take a step back and look at some of your favorite brands, your favorite people you follow, and look what they post, right? From us personally, we like to stay on the positive side of things. We like to post positive. We like to put happy things out there. We want people to feel better when they consume our content. Right? Good vibes. It doesn't mean that we are 100% positive 100% of the time. Nobody is. But what I want to put out in the world that influences people, I want it to be
is positive and happy so that they can get an uplift. I don't want to when I'm having a bad day, I don't want to put my negative vibes out there and bring somebody else down.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we look at it, right? I choose to keep those things to myself, or I discuss them with you or my close friends, and that's who I soundboard off of if I need, help. And that's the way that we choose to do it.
Mm-hmm. But there is something to say about, like, I do see people posting things out there being 100% vulnerable that aren't polarizing. They're saying, hey, this is something that happened in my life. This is how it's making me feel. And I love that because it's just bringing that human factor to it.
Right.
But I've seen someone, and they were spiraling on social media for a while. So at first it was more of that vulnerable thing. And then they were publicly, admitting to dropping the ball on loans and, sorry to my realtor partners and my clients. And I was like, what are you doing?
Right.
Because as a consumer, if I see somebody on social
Can't trust
media
them.
saying, hey, I dropped the ball and all these people, I screwed up all these loans, I'm never going to go to you for a loan.
No, and you can never get that back.
You can never get that back. So that's mainly what I wanted to say
Right.
here is
just be aware.
be aware of what you're putting out there. Make sure that it's on brand. And just think about how other people are going to perceive it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you know what? Things happen. You go through mental things, you go through stuff like that. It's understandable. It's understandable. People are going to drop the ball. But to be successful long-term in business, you have to internalize that and say, hey, I messed up. I need to go fix that now.
You take care of it privately.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between what you need to put out privately and what you need to put out publicly.
It's almost like self-sabotage.
Yes.
Like people feel like, oh, I made a mistake and I need to punish myself. So you punish yourself publicly, and it's never good.
The only time I think you need to apologize publicly is when you screw up publicly.
Right.
But if it's private, keep it private.
Take care of it privately.
Yeah.
Right. It's like if you are having a private conversation with your spouse, you don't do that in public,
I see the
right?
Spouse wars, and I mean, we've done stuff like joking around with each other, but people are actually fighting online, and I'm like, oh my, you can't not watch it. It's like a car wreck.
And you can't take that
I'm not
back.
going to trust that person necessarily with big things. If people know that you're unraveling, just be aware that they might then second guess whether or not you can handle the business.
Right.
And that's one of the things too. Even with being sick, I'm not going to put that out in the world.
Because then people are like, oh, if you're sick, then I'm not going to use you.
Oh, she's sick. I don't
want to bother her.
I don't want to bother her. So that's just something that I don't do for that reason.
Right.
But that could also be why I got burnt out.
and if you're a lot of people don't know this, with me, is I have Lyme.
Yeah.
Which means I'm pretty much sick all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just something I've learned to live with and deal with and have to do things to make myself feel better. But I don't put it out there because I don't want people to feel like they can't reach out to me because I'm not feeling good that day. That's my issue, not their issue. And I'll take care of that. And it can be tough for people, but I don't want to bring someone else down and make them feel bad or like they can't reach out to me because I'm not feeling great that day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so just be aware. Just be aware of what you put out there in the world, because once you put it out publicly, you can't take it back. Whatever's online is online forever.
Yeah. Is this whole social media game, it sucks. It really does suck, but that's how we also make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to play the game.
Right. It is what it is. And so for us, we like to be we are really authentic with what we post, but we just choose to post the things that we feel are going to uplift people the most.
We keep our garbage to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
Nobody needs to know that.
All right. Well, that's all about, dumpster fire on social media. So we just want to make people aware of what you post does affect your business. And if you want to see more about what we're doing or need help with video for your mortgage business, go to thelocode.com and make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next show.